Today, we asked the question, are Crestliners good boats? Hey, I'm Captain Matt. I'm the author of the book, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, host of the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon channel here. And we're going to jump into the question, are Crestliners good boats? So let's do it. Spilled a lot on myself. Sorry about that. So let's look at the history of Crestliners. They started in 1849 by a Swedish immigrant in Little Falls, Minnesota. They built their first welded boat in 1964, and that was William Morris Sr. got them into the welded boat side of things. They were acquired by Brunswick in 2004. And they built 3 locations. So they build boats in New York Mills, Minnesota, Lebanon, Missouri, which is near the Lake of the Ozarks, and some other builders, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, where a lot of kind of pontoons or aluminum boats are built in that area as well. That may be where they build their Crestliner pontoons. But they have several different models, as most aluminum manufacturers do. The Sportfish, the Superhawk, the Hawk, which are their deep V aluminums. They've got their modified B, the MX, XF, XFC, the Ridge, the Storm, the Outlook. They've got their more hunting boats, the Retriever center console, the Retriever FCC, and the Retriever RCC, which is their center console boats. So the question we started, are Crestliner good boats? The answer is yes, they are good boats. I actually went to the boat show and inspected all of the aluminum fishing boats there, multiple boat shows actually, put my history of inspecting used boats and new boats and put it all together in the best and the worst. I show you pictures, what I like, what I didn't, what they do well, what they don't. So check that video out if you're in the serious shopping mode for a boat. But let's look at the Crestliner, what type of aluminum they use. They're using the 5052 alloy, which almost everybody in the market's using, 0.072 on their smaller boats up to 0.125 gauge on their larger deep Vs, and they're a welded construction. So the welded construction, I've got a video on riveted versus weld, so you can get my opinion there. We won't talk about it here, but you can see their competition. Now, Crestliner is also owned by Brunswick, which owns Lowe, another welded boat, and Lund, which is a riveted boat. So just so you know, they're in that same family. Same thing with Sea Ray, Whaler, Bayliner, and Mercury. Well, they've got their 4x welded hull with interlocking tongue and groove panels. So what tongue and groove? They're basically interlocking, and then they're welding on that seam on the inside and outside. So that's their design. So very, very well welded. And they've got their APX hull design for better performance. Basically, it's the way they design that very bottom section. The pad is kind of what they call it in the bass boat world, so that it gets cleaner water to the prop. The cleaner the water at the prop, the better performance you get from lower horsepower engines. So that is how they do it. They use the closed cell foam for safety and support. Closed cell meaning that if I was to fill this can with foam, well, it would be more rigid. It would have more flotation to it. And it would also, as I was riding in rough chop, it's going to give it a more solid feel under your feet, a more solid, a more quiet ride because of that insulation and that foam build. They also do a double welded system where they weld on the inside and the outside of the seam. So if you think about it, the seam comes together like this. They weld here, and they also weld here for a double weld on that hull design. More structural support, stronger, thicker welds. They've got a reverse chine variable degree dead rise for a drier ride. So let's talk about chine first. If you think about a V hull, this is a regular chine where the V just continues up. Can be unstable in a turn. Well, on the reverse chine, it's like this on the V, but then it's going to have a reverse angle on that last little section to go down. So if you think about it, when you turn, that edge is going to catch and keep you from going too far like you would on a full regular chine. That's the reverse chine. It's also going to slap the water down as it's splashing up. It's going to kind of catch it. The variable degree dead rise means that dead rise is the angle of attack of that bottom hull. And you want sharper at the back is going to give you a more comfortable ride. But as you go forward, they're going to adjust that angle to maybe the entry is going to be super sharp to slice through the chop, and then it's going to flatten out, because the flatter it is at the back, the less rocking you're going to have. So they're taking that dead rise and they're adjusting it throughout the construction depending on where the water's hitting on the boat, what type of characteristics they want to get from it. And that's what that is. I've got a whole video on dead rise. I think it's in the center console video, but you can find that on the channel as well. Full length interlocking extruded aluminum keel. Again, that full length interlocking, that same tongue and groove, and then it's welded on that tongue and groove. And extruded means it's molten aluminum shot through a mold. And so when it cools down, it's going to be a solid structure versus bending that aluminum to get the shape you want. It's just like on a can. If I was to crank this can like my daughters do with their soda can, well, eventually it's going to weaken, it's going to crack, and they're going to cut their finger. Same thing happens on a boat. Every time that aluminum flexes, it loses some of its structure, right? So that keel, because it's extruded, it's never been bent. It's built right into the shape they want every boat, and they weld it on, and it's a more solid piece of aluminum. And that keel is the lowest part of the boat. It's where the V comes together and it runs down that center, and that's the most likely thing to hit a rock, and it's a part that you want to be very strong. Exclusive mercury, obviously with Brunswick, you're only going to get a merc on the back, and they do have a limited lifetime hull warranty on the structure of their boat. So that's Crestliner. If you're serious about shopping for an aluminum fishing boat, I encourage you to get our free Boat Buyer's Toolkit. It's a 40-page toolkit just packed with checklists, questions to ask, keep you on track. We talk about insurance, we talk about loans, we talk about some gear, a lot of stuff, very valuable. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people have got it up at this point, so you can get that at Boat Buyer's Toolkit. If you own a Crestliner, hey, give us the story. Tell us what you like, what you didn't. Give us the year and the model so we know what we're comparing to. We can compare apples to apples, share that with the community, grab that toolkit, give it a thumbs up if you found this valuable, and remember, life truly is better on a boat.